put on masterful performances because he was so superior skill-wise and defensively. You can't say enough. Tonight with Crawford, for example, we saw him take a punch on several occasions. With Floyd, we didn't see that too often.
All right, Steven, what's your reaction to this victory? Terence Crawford was sensational. What's your reaction?
Not surprised. I'm picking the win by decision coming in this fight. Watching Canelo, seeing his career, expected he wasn't going to get knocked out, especially by the smaller man. But did Crawford have enough power and boxing skill to keep Canelo off of him to some degree? For the most part, that answer was yes. But then he stepped in there and he exchanged back and forth on several occasions and survived and prospered. And I got to give credit where credit is due. I picked him to win by decision, but I never expected.
When he was jabbing, Canelo should be moving, flipping the jab for the final uppercut. So he can anticipate the combination. The jab, the guy wouldn't throw the combination. If Canelo would have used his jab, I was discussing with my wife, he's not using his jab. And then the next round, I saw him using his jab some, so his corner must have been telling him the same thing. And I believe if he used his jab, I used to think if Canelo was using his jab effectively, hard, the guy wouldn't have been able to come in because the guy was coming in because he wasn't worried about Canelo's jab. So he got more aggressive and he got brave. If he's not jabbing, he has no defense. Because the guy was coming in because he wasn't worried about Canelo's jab. So he got more aggressive and he got brave. If he's not jabbing, he has no defense. If he's not going to jab, the guy's going to walk right in on him like he did. Next fight, use your jab, different fight.
Alright, fellas. Canelo and Crawford just faced off. And what a fight it was. The almost fantastical matchup, something so many dismissed as improbable, actually came true. And we just witnessed two of the greatest boxers of our time share the ring. Going into this fight, the air was thick with questions. Would Crawford, stepping up to weight classes, truly adapt to the heavier environment? Could he withstand the sheer power that Canelo brings? And for Canelo, the reigning king, could he deliver a statement performance, one that would silence the criticisms that have lingered from his recent fights? Well, we certainly got our answers. I want to break down what just unfolded in the ring, analyze what this performance means for both fighters' legacies, and, of course, address the inevitable question, what's next? But first, a quick reminder, if you're a boxing enthusiast, you've found your one-stop shop. My name's Closter, and I make boxing videos as things happen, dedicated to keeping you informed. Make sure to subscribe so I can always keep you in the loop. Let's rewind a bit. Fight week itself didn't really throw up anything super unexpected. It was pretty much business as usual. That's why I didn't end up covering it extensively, because there weren't any truly seismic developments. However, one interesting observation was that the size difference between the two fighters wasn't as drastic as many had predicted. Both looked remarkably similar in stature, and both were in absolutely incredible shape, a testament to their dedication and professionalism. The venue itself was something special. This was the first ever boxing match held at Allegiant Stadium, and the spectacle was breathtaking. They packed tens of thousands of fans in, creating an atmosphere of electric energy that's truly rare in the sport. It's a location designed for spectacle, and it didn't disappoint. The undercard, while containing some genuinely good fights, also had its share of disappointments. Some were exciting, others, well, let's just say they weren't the most memorable. Outside of the main event, the Imbi Martinez fight was arguably the most entertaining. If you missed it, it's worth checking out, even if you primarily tuned in for Canelo versus Crawford. But let's be honest, everyone was solely focused on the main event. Months of hype, anticipation, and debate culminated in that one moment, Crawford and Canelo standing across from each other in the center of the ring, with only the referee, Thomas Taylor, standing between them. You could feel the tension radiating from the two men. It was palpable. The opening rounds were tense, a strategic dance of sizing each other up, both fighters carefully settling into a rhythm. Canelo, known as a notorious slow starter, immediately began targeting Crawford's body, an indication of his plan to wear down his opponent. Crawford, meanwhile, utilized his southpaw jab to maintain control of the distance, probing for openings and establishing his jab as a weapon. The first few rounds were exceptionally close, a feeling reinforced by the commentary. But Crawford's sharper counters and well-timed combinations seemed to give him a subtle edge, even as Canelo attempted to impose his will with those characteristic heavy body shots. As the fight progressed into the middle rounds, the pace noticeably increased. Canelo continued his relentless assault on Crawford's ribs, and Crawford, displaying remarkable composure and skill, answered with beautiful counters. Canelo had a marginally better round in the fifth, demonstrating his power and strength, but Crawford, not content to relinquish control, came out aggressively in the sixth, looking to retake the initiative. He understood that he needed to impose himself and halt Canelo's forward momentum, and he did just that, using his jab and movement to frustrate the champion. As the fight wore on, Crawford's precision began to truly separate him from Alvarez. He peppered Canelo with sharp, well-timed combinations, finding success both on the inside and demonstrating impeccable timing with his left hand. It wasn't just about power. It was about accuracy and placement, hitting Canelo in the areas he could least afford to be hit. Crawford's ability to control the range and dictate the pace was beginning to tell a clear story in the ring. Then came the unexpected turn in the ninth round, an accidental clash of heads that opened up a cut over Crawford's right eye. This gave Alvarez a momentary glimmer of hope, a chance to capitalize on a situation outside of the typical boxing dynamics. However, Bud remained remarkably composed, showing a level of professionalism and focus that's characteristic of a truly great champion. He didn't panic. He didn't rush. He simply focused on his game plan. The championship rounds further solidified Crawford's dominance. His confidence was visibly radiating, his movement crisp, and his punches finding their mark with increasing regularity. He wasn't just winning rounds. He was dictating the fight. He was controlling the narrative, and the crowd, initially heavily pro-Canelo, began to recognize and appreciate the artistry and skill on display. The energy in the stadium had shifted. This wasn't just a victory. It was a statement. It was a moment that will be etched in boxing history. Crawford, stepping up in weight, defeating a pound-for-pound king, showcasing a level of skill and precision that was simply too much for Canelo to handle. The questions now turn to what's next for both men. Canelo, after facing a defeat so unexpected, faces a crossroads in his career. He needs to reevaluate his strategy, his training, and perhaps even his opponents. He needs to rediscover that hunger and that drive that made him a champion. For Crawford, the victory elevates him to an even higher echelon of boxing royalty. The questions surrounding his legacy are now answered. He's proven himself to be one of the very best, but the sport doesn't stand still. What weight class will he move up to next? Who will he face? The possibilities are endless. Perhaps a rematch with Canelo? Or perhaps a challenge for another title in a higher weight class? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, Crawford has cemented his place among the all-time greats, and boxing fans around the world are eagerly anticipating his next move. The performance was a masterclass in boxing, a beautiful display of skill, strategy, and heart. It's a fight that will be talked about and analyzed for years to come. And it's a testament to the enduring power and beauty of the sport of boxing. But let's really unpack what we just witnessed, because this wasn't just a win. It was a statement, a monumental shift in the landscape of boxing. The scorecards themselves minus 116 to 112, 115 to 113, 115 to 111, reflected the competitive nature of the fight, but they also underscored Crawford's consistent dominance. He wasn't just winning rounds, he was controlling them, dictating the pace and making Canelo adjust to him. And that's the truly remarkable thing about what we're seeing. We've become so accustomed to Canelo being the one dictating the terms, the one forcing his opponents to fight his fight. Tonight, that dynamic was flipped entirely on its head. And the fact that Crawford achieved this moving up in weight, that's what elevates this victory to legendary status. To not just compete with a man of Canelo's size and power, but to convincingly outbox him is a display of skill and athleticism rarely seen in the sport. It wasn't just about power, it was about the intelligence, the footwork, the timing, the ability to anticipate and counter. We saw moments where Canelo looked genuinely frustrated, searching for an answer to Crawford's movement and precision. He couldn't find it. The fight itself was, as Mike mentioned, competitive. You could feel the tension in the arena, the energy of the crowd, even if it was initially skewed heavily in Canelo's favor. But as the fight wore on, you could sense a shift. The initial excitement for Canelo began to give way to a grudging admiration for Crawford. People started to appreciate the artistry, the technical brilliance on display. And that's a powerful thing, to win over a crowd, especially a crowd that was initially rooting against you. And to put it in perspective, the fact that Crawford is now the undisputed super middleweight champion, adding another title to his already impressive resume. He's the first male fighter to become a 3-division undisputed champion. Let that sink in for a moment. That's a feat that transcends generations of fighters, a mark of true greatness. And he's done it while remaining undefeated. That level of consistency, that unwavering commitment to excellence, is what separates the greats from the merely good. But let's not ignore Canelo. He's been the face of boxing for years, a global superstar.
Absolutely. Is he better than Floyd Mayweather right now?
I'm not going to sit up here and say that. I think that Floyd Mayweather was such a magician defensively. We have to look at Floyd Money Mayweather in this regard. Once he moved up to welterweight, his hands were always damaged. So he kind of knew he wasn't going to be able to knock you out for the most part. And still, he walked into the ring.
This isn't a career-ending loss, but it's a significant moment of reckoning. He looked better than he did against Skull. John Ryder, of course, but as Mike alluded to, there were shades of that performance tonight. That struggle to connect, that frustration when his opponent is dancing just out of reach. It was all there. He just couldn't seem to catch Crawford. He's a champion, no doubt, but he needs to reevaluate his approach. He needs to rediscover that hunger, that drive. Retirement isn't on the horizon yet, but it's a conversation he and his team will surely be having. The commercial implications of this victory are enormous. Crawford, who's always been a mainstay of the higher end of the pound-for-pound rankings, has always been respected within the boxing world, but he hasn't always had that mainstream appeal. Now, with a victory of this magnitude, showcased on Netflix, he's instantly catapulted into the global spotlight. His commercial value will never be higher. The fight itself was a massive event, pulling in millions of viewers worldwide. And Crawford, the victor, is the one reaping the rewards. Whatever comes next for him will be massive, regardless of the opponent. The casual market is now open to him. And the absence of a rematch clause is particularly interesting. It puts Crawford firmly in the driver's seat. A rematch would undoubtedly be a massive draw, a chance for Canelo to avenge his loss and prove that it was a mere blip on his otherwise stellar career. But it's Crawford who now holds the leverage. He can dictate the terms, choose his next opponent, and continue to build his legacy. The power dynamic has completely shifted. You know, it's easy to get caught up in the immediate aftermath of a fight, the celebrations, the interviews, the analysis. But it's important to take a step back and appreciate the broader significance of what we just witnessed. This wasn't just a fight. It was a turning point in boxing history. It was a moment that will be talked about and analyzed for years to come. It was a demonstration of the enduring power of skill, strategy, and heart. It was a reminder that boxing, at its core, is a sport of athleticism, intelligence, and unwavering dedication. It's a testament to what perseverance and a brilliant tactical mind can achieve. Think about the years Crawford put in, honing his craft, patiently waiting for his opportunity. He wasn't chasing fame or fortune. He was chasing excellence. And tonight, that pursuit paid off in spectacular fashion. He has shown everyone that it isn't about size and brute force. It's about skill, technique, and the ability to adapt. The interesting thing is, some might say Canelo was going into the fight with a chip on his shoulder. Perhaps there was an overconfidence, a belief that he could simply overpower Crawford. But Crawford came in with a quiet confidence, a belief in his own abilities, and he executed his game plan to perfection. He didn't try to be Canelo. He was Terence Crawford, and that's what made the difference. Now, the questions turn, as we've discussed, to what's next. For Canelo, it's about reevaluation, recalibration, and rediscovery. He needs to re-examine his training methods, his strategy, and his mindset. He needs to rediscover the hunger that fueled his rise to the top. He's not getting any younger, and the competition is only getting tougher. For Crawford, the options are endless. A rematch with Canelo would be a guaranteed blockbuster, but there are other potential opponents who would be eager to test themselves against the new champion. A challenge for another title in a higher weight class? That's always the possibility. The potential for growth and further accomplishment remains immense, and the impact this will have on the sport as a whole, that's yet to be fully seen. But one thing is certain, Terence Crawford has cemented his place among the all-time greats. He has inspired a new generation of fighters. He has reminded us all of the beauty and the power of boxing. And he has proven that anything is possible with hard work, dedication, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. It truly was a moment of greatness and a historic night for boxing. It's a moment that will undoubtedly be etched in the annals of sporting history, forever remembered as the night Terence Crawford conquered the king. And you can already sense the ripples spreading throughout the boxing community. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement, a resounding declaration that the landscape has shifted. When you look at the business side of things, the Saudi involvement is a huge factor. They'll absolutely want to see a rematch. They're not just throwing money around. They're building something, a brand. Riyadh season, and Canelo is a cornerstone of that vision. It's about more than just putting on a fight. It's about promoting Saudi Arabia on a global stage. And frankly, Canelo against Crawford? That ticks all the boxes. The numbers alone, they're almost guaranteed to be blockbuster. A fight against someone like Eubank or Billy, it wouldn't have the same pull, the same kind of global attention, and ultimately wouldn't justify the investment. So the return on investment is vastly improved with Canelo versus Crawford. You're looking at a financial powerhouse. But let's not assume a rematch is a foregone conclusion. These things are complex. Contracts, negotiations, potential retirements, all those variables come into play. But right now, the momentum is strongly in favor of a repeat performance. It's almost inevitable, wouldn't you say? Now, let's entertain the possibility, however slim, that we don't see those two in the ring again. What other names are floating around? Who could potentially step up to challenge either fighter? Well, Hamza Shars is a name you're going to hear a lot more of. He's clearly a Riyadh season favorite. The promoters are high on him, and rightfully so. He's a genuinely good boxer. That knockout of Balonga was brutal, a real statement of intent. He's absolutely in line for a shot at either Crawford or Canelo. Don't be surprised if his name is thrown around frequently in the coming months. Then you have Billy, who had a chance to elevate his profile, but unfortunately, he's likely to be tied up in a rematch with Eubank. Honestly, a third fight between those two? It feels like a recipe for disaster, a one-sided affair that nobody really wants to see. It's one of those situations where you're just going through the motions. It lacks genuine excitement, it lacks compelling storylines. It feels obligated rather than inspired. And then there's Bivol. Now, that's an interesting proposition. There's been talk of a potential trilogy bout, but Better BF seems to be moving on for the moment as Bivol recovers from surgery. If Bivol decides to forego that third fight, I wouldn't be shocked to see his name thrown into the mix against Bud. The wrinkle there, of course, is that he's going to have to drop weight to make that fight happen. That's a significant undertaking, both physically and strategically. You're talking about a champion willing to compromise his own physical advantages to pursue a legacy fight. Interestingly, Crawford himself addressed potential opponents in the post-fight presser and effectively shut down a fight against Boots. So, it seems the door is closed, at least for now. You have to respect a fighter who knows his limitations and isn't willing to take a fight that doesn't genuinely excite him or benefit his career. But ultimately, right now, the rematch between Crawford and Canelo seems like the most probable outcome. The numbers speak for themselves, the promotional opportunities are immense, and the fans are clamoring for it. It's a sporting event with significant financial and cultural implications. But let's not get caught up in speculating about the future. We need to appreciate the magnitude of what we just witnessed. Crawford put on a performance that has sent shockwaves through the boxing world. He's made a compelling case for himself as the best fighter of this generation. A three-weight undisputed champion is a rare and precious thing. It's a mark of unparalleled skill, dedication, and resilience. It's something we might not see again. He chased greatness and he achieved it. And that's what truly matters. This wasn't just about a victory. It was about the journey, the sacrifices, the unwavering pursuit of excellence. It was about realizing one's potential and leaving a lasting legacy. It's about inspiring the next generation of fighters and reminding us all of the power and beauty of the sport. Nights like these remind us why we love boxing. It's more than just punches and knockdowns. It's about the human drama, the athleticism, the strategy, the heart. It's about witnessing moments of transcendence, moments that defy explanation and leave us breathless with admiration. It's about seeing the culmination of years of hard work, dedication, and unwavering belief in oneself. It's a spectacle unlike any other, and no other sport can replicate the feeling of a big boxing fight night. The electric atmosphere, the anticipation, the collective holding of breath.
What go from here? Does he continue at 168 or does he go back down to 154?
I think he goes back down to 154. The Charlos of the world, fight them.
Sebastian Fundora.
But I don't think he stays at super middleweight unless he wants to fight David Benavidez, and I don't think anybody wants to fight.
It's an experience that's uniquely powerful. The palpable tension, the eruption of cheers, the shared sense of excitement. It's something that truly unites people. It transcends cultural barriers and brings people together in a shared celebration of human endeavor. It's a primal experience that taps into something deep within us. Now, as always, I want to hear your thoughts. What were your scorecards? Did you agree with the judges? What did you think of their performances? And what do you see next for both fighters? Were you surprised by Crawford's dominance? Did you anticipate Canelo struggling so much with Crawford's awkward style? What adjustments do you think Canelo needs to make if he wants to win a rematch? These are the questions that are swirling around the boxing world right now. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. Share your opinions, your predictions, your analysis. Let's have a conversation about this historic night. Engage with each other, debate the nuances of the fight, and celebrate the brilliance of both fighters. And if you did enjoy the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It truly does a ton to help the channel. Every like, every subscription, every comment, it all contributes to the growth of the community. It allows us to continue bringing you the content you love and to expand our reach to even more boxing fans around the world. It allows us to continue shining a light on the amazing stories and incredible athletes that make up this sport. Yeah, thanks for watching, fellas, and I'll catch you in the next one. And the sheer shock value of it all. You're sitting there expecting a competitive fight, maybe Canelo edging it out on points, but what we witnessed was a masterclass in boxing. Crawford wasn't just winning. He was dismantling a legend. It's a night that will be talked about for years to come, replayed endlessly, analyzed, and debated. And it begs the question, where do we go from here? I want to dig into the scorecards a little bit more. It's easy to dismiss the judges. We're all armchair analysts, but it's important to acknowledge their role in the outcome. Did they get it right? I think, largely, yes. Crawford dominated the fight. He controlled the distance, dictated the pace, and landed the cleaner shots consistently. You could argue that there were rounds where Canelo had his moments, a flash of brilliance here, A brief surge of offense there, but they were fleeting. They weren't enough to outweigh Crawford's overall performance. And honestly, sometimes a dominant performance is a unanimous decision. Sometimes a fighter simply outclasses their opponent so completely that it's undeniable. This felt like one of those nights. But the conversation about the judges isn't just about whether they scored the rounds correctly. It's about the responsibility they carry. They're the arbiters of the sport, the ones who determine the victor when the final bell rings. And their decisions have an enormous impact on the careers of these fighters, on the history of boxing. So it's crucial that they're at the top of their game, that they understand the nuances of the sport, and that they're able to assess a fight accurately and fairly. And let's be honest, there's always room for improvement. Now, let's talk about Canelo. This wasn't the Canelo we're accustomed to seeing. He looked tentative, hesitant, like he was searching for answers that simply weren't there. Crawford's awkward style, that constant shifting and circling, completely disrupted Canelo's rhythm. He couldn't find his range, he couldn't land his power shots, and he looked visibly frustrated throughout the fight. It's a rare sight seeing a fighter of Canelo's caliber struggling so much against an opponent. It's a testament to Crawford's skill, his strategy, and his unwavering execution. What adjustments does Canelo need to make if he wants to win a rematch? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? He needs to figure out how to deal with that awkwardness. He needs to find a way to cut off the ring, to prevent Crawford from circling and dictating the pace. He needs to be more aggressive, to pressure Crawford and disrupt his rhythm. But it's not just about physical adjustments. It's about mental adjustments too. He needs to believe he can beat Crawford. He needs to have the confidence to take risks, to push himself to his limits. Canelo is a warrior. He's shown that time and time again. He's faced adversity, he's overcome challenges, and he's always come back stronger. I have no doubt that he's going to analyze this fight, learn from his mistakes, and come back with a renewed determination. But he's also facing a reality. Crawford is a generational talent, a fighter who is operating on a different level. The interesting thing about this fight is that it's not just about Canelo's career. It's about the legacy of the sport itself. We're witnessing a changing of the guard, a new era in boxing. Crawford's victory has reverberated throughout the entire boxing world, challenging the established order, shaking up the rankings, and inspiring a new generation of fighters. He's proven that size isn't everything. That awkwardness can be an advantage. That dedication, skill, and strategy can overcome even the most formidable opponent. And let's not forget the power of the journey. Crawford didn't arrive at this point overnight. He's been chasing greatness for years, sacrificing everything for his craft. He's faced setbacks, he's overcome obstacles, and he's always remained true to himself. This victory is the culmination of all that hard work, all that dedication, all that unwavering belief in himself. It's a moment he's earned, a moment he's deserved. I want to touch on something Mike Tyson mentioned earlier, the shared experience of being in the arena. There's nothing quite like it. The anticipation, the collective holding of breath, the eruption of cheers. It's a primal experience that taps into something deep within us. You can watch a fight on television, you can analyze it on your computer, but you can't replicate the energy, the atmosphere, the feeling of being there in person. That shared sense of excitement, that collective holding of breath. It's something truly special. And it's that shared experience, that sense of community, that makes boxing so much more than just a sport. It's a cultural phenomenon, a shared passion that brings people together from all walks of life. It transcends cultural barriers and unites people in a shared celebration of human endeavor. It's a reminder that we're all connected, that we're all capable of greatness. Now, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. I know we're getting a ton of comments already, but I want to dive a little deeper. Let's talk about Crawford's style. It's unconventional, it's frustrating to fight against, but is it also sustainable? Can he maintain that level of activity, that constant movement, for 12 rounds against a relentless opponent like Canelo? And what does it say about the state of boxing that a fighter with such an unconventional style can rise to the very top? We're also hearing a lot of debate about the possibility of a rematch. It's the fight everyone wants to see, isn't it? But would a rematch even be worthwhile? Canelo would need to make significant adjustments, and Crawford would need to prove that his victory wasn't a fluke. It's a high-stakes scenario, and the outcome could have a profound impact on the future of boxing. The beauty of boxing lies in its unpredictability. Anything can happen in the ring. A single punch can change the course of a fight. A moment of hesitation can cost a fighter the victory. And that's what makes it so captivating, so compelling, so endlessly fascinating. It's a sport that rewards skill, dedication, and courage, but it also demands respect, humility, and a willingness to learn. And let's not forget the human drama. Behind every fight, there's a story. There's a journey of sacrifice, of perseverance, of unwavering belief in oneself. There are families and friends who have supported these fighters every step of the way. And there are fans who have shared in their triumphs and their disappointments. It's a human drama that unfolds before our eyes, and it's what makes boxing so much more than just a sport. If you enjoyed this conversation, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean the world to us, and it helps us continue bringing you the content you love. We're incredibly grateful for your support, and we're excited to continue exploring the world of boxing with you. Share your opinions in the comments below, tell us what you thought of the fight, and let's keep the conversation going. It's moments like these, shared experiences among boxing fans, that make this community so vibrant and so special. What adjustments do you see from either fighter going forward? Do you think Crawford has cemented himself as the best fighter on the planet? And let's not forget the human drama. Behind every fight, there's a story. There's a journey of sacrifice, of perseverance, of unwavering belief in oneself. There are families and friends who have supported these fighters every step of the way. And there are fans who have shared in their triumphs and their disappointments. It's a human drama that unfolds before our eyes, and it's what makes boxing so much more than just a sport.